talk shop you see around and how like the signboards are placed around, right? They are that way because of the ever-changing landscape of the economy. Today, money can go up and you have to pay, right? Prices of things can go up and the man will have to leave. So because of the landscape of things, she cannot be using sustainable materials like bricks and hardwood.
Because it can change.
Because it can change. And because she can't use bricks and hardwood, right? Methods for visual communication on bricks and hardwood are limited. So she would rather go for a wooden kiosk that she can dismantle every time.
Yeah.
Which is why we're not talking about the how and what is expressed. So if the visual communication on books right now requires intra, because the ink itself needs to, so do you get that? The material and the graphic design. So the visual systems that we are designing on, so they rather use chalk, so it can be clean to write in a new price. Printing, so the entire world for printing within that domain has changed, and the language of it. So there's now the question of what does a progressive, evolved economy that still recognizes culture.
Culture.
Now, there are a number. We have China. China is a very, very good reference.
Yeah, China and Japan.
You can go to China.
Brazil.
12 a.m.
Yeah.
1. It looks like Oshodi. Things are happening, but there's order.
Yeah.
So we can have order
Even in the midst of chaos.
diversity.
Even in the midst of chaos.
So
That's what we are trying to avoid, that we call good design. When you remove the chaos, we call it good design. But chaos is part of the culture and what contributes to good design.
So what people reference as they're now like a lot of nuances now. What people reference as good design is that, which was why I made a tweet one time.
Minimalistic.
Clean, white space.
Good design has not only function, right, but be ethically relevant. You get now? And the ethical relevance to design does not just come in how it's done, but for who it's done for.
Yeah.
And the shadows of
Why
consequences.
you when you did
They don't give me time. The shadows of consequences to reflect. So, and how is that relating to like we right now? That right now. This identity system right now will outlast us. The systems that we are developing right now. Somebody wants to do butter. The system we create for it become the reference for the people in future. The people in future design. So what happens is we're moving in a direction that is not intrinsically out, which was the convention we had that time. So we need to redefine our philosophies. We're no longer.
We have to lay the groundwork for people that are coming here.
But you know the problem with that?
Okay.
Redefine those philosophies. Whose job is it?
Now that's why I said. That's why I ended.
It's all about
you.
Because
Thank you.
as a graphic
That's
designer,
you.
Do you understand?
I understand.
Being an African starts from you.
I'm trying to create for Chisa.
Yeah.
But you are the client.
That's the problem.
Understanding how to bridge that gap between creating for Chisa to solve your problem and you accepting that is something that wants to work for you. That is chaos.
Yeah. But you know what you mentioned during your own talk. Let me give you evidence now. Right, let me shine the mirror back on you. You know what you said during your own presentation? You said your discovery call is for you to understand what the problem of the client is and who provides solution. Them, you. It is you that suggests a solution and a process that makes them say, this guy is worth such a certain amount of money. Do you understand? But do you know that your own internal bias, do you know that what he's saying is hitting your internal bias?
Yeah.
Because you have a westernized view on how things are supposed to be. Even your process is westernized. Because in African culture, if you want to talk about something, let's say you want to have a meeting about something, it's physical and there's food. There's water, there's cola nuts. Do you understand? Those are the things that are African to us. Do you understand? It is the breaking of the cola nuts that we share, the food that we share. When we join that glass of drink together and it enters into each other, that's how we breed trust. That's African culture. But your own viewpoint on how design is supposed to be is already Western, and that's why when you said, oh, you said certain things, I agree. When you said certain things, I pull back. That's your internal bias fighting with you.
What she just said right now. What she just said right now is now reflects how there is a modernist mindset that is not entirely graphic design, but a reflection of macroeconomics that is influencing how graphic design is done, right? There is the idea that you are a savior, which is a reflection of colonialism.
Yeah.
You are a savior to your clients. You are not. Because the fact that you have undergone some kind of education does not mean you know better than your clients.
Absolutely.
There is a subtle, I'm telling you, it's a subtle, it's very, there is a subtle very subtle thing to it. Yeah. Can you use blue? No. It's not use blue. It's so.
Saying don't know anything. She gets.
No, because and that's the true. But you know what they're saying.
What is the context of what you are saying?
Yeah. Now that's what we're talking about.
The entire conversation is with context to why you are saying what you are saying.
Thank you.
It's not really about you know more, I know more. If I come as a designer and I say that this color is orange and blue and black, and the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is because of my perceived preference or my perceived education, then I'm wrong. Because the only reason why I should say orange or blue or black is because I've done research, I've looked at the people you are trying to communicate with, which is why what I was saying during my speech, right? It's really about the client. When we now have a clash, I want to say, okay, clients, the reason why we did this is because the people you are trying to attract to your business feel this type of way from research. So no designer should be by their. It's a very complex, very content, and like you're saying here, the economics, the complexity of it.
Now, which is why if you go down to the grade,
our own mental state, so everything fights against us.
Another why. Because when I said whose job is it, right? It goes beyond one person, two people. It goes beyond even the people. It goes beyond. It is this conversation.
That's why we're having this
why
conversation. Now, do you realize that even without you realizing, do you know your mind has shifted? So when you have a conversation, with somebody else, you will reflect all of these things in your conversation. She gets. When we even say research, why are you doing your research? You are going to Pinterest. A lot of what is on Pinterest, a large percentage is Western. Do you understand?
which is why
she gets so.
I see it as a collaboration. See now, like, because primarily what clients are coming to meet you for is to create some kind of language that a demographic understands and how they can speak to them. You get that? So it's like language things. They can communicate, and that's why in certain organizations they don't understand in a way, because they don't understand why are you doing branding. Because comms have been happening. You see right now. That's why you come to a company where they've been doing products, like one product-led companies right now. They've been doing everything. They've gone from V1 to V2. They've probably done 61 different posters that don't have a system. They're getting their results. Yeah. They will get their results.
Yeah.
Get now. But the problem is the impact of brand that reflects in 15, 30 years. They might not have it. That consistency in posters design will bring, they might not have it. So it's the scale and the breadth that we look at and say, okay, this is the impact of graphic design, like the brand design. A lot of designers don't see that it's not even in the impact of what they're looking for is not in 5 years.
Centuries to come. And I'll give you a classic example. We're talking to
this Omo, right? Omo, right now. Sorry, just like trying it out. Omo became the thing people use for detergents. McLean. When you go and see those brands now, it did not happen in 6 months.
Yeah.
It did not happen in 5 years. It did not even happen in 10, 15 years. They've been coming. So, and how we now measure that? Oh, this is a very strong brand. Like people, just like Twitter. People are saying tweet. I made a tweet.
It's even inside dictionary. It becomes generational.
that didn't get there because somebody designed a nice logo.
We got there because of
Consistency.
Consistency. I'll give you an example. We're talking to a data humanist in the US because we're trying to learn data humanism where I work, Big Cabal Media. And we're talking to a data humanist from the US. And one of the things I told us that there's a big hospital over there that they used to do like a medical journal and give to them like every month, like a breakdown of what is happening in the medical scene, give them a journal and all of that. I think they usually buy it. I think either they buy it or it's a subscription type thing. They said that somebody came, a design agency came and was like, this design, this normal design, what we know as jaga, everything is just everywhere, bad, what we call bad design. They said they now decided to change it. They changed it. Everybody para. They said we don't know this design, we don't know this one, because the person now started doing minimalism, space, alignment, sans serif. Do you understand? But they liked all those gege. That what they call a strong. It was strong. It was a strong visual system for them. And then this righteous designer came and said, this is wrong, and corrected it. So sometimes what we think, and that's why I mentioned internal bias, because me too, I'm struggling with it as well. That's why I'm dressed like this and not in Ankara. You understand? Because I know I'm coming to a place where we have been socialized to believe that this t-shirt now is what we should wear and come to this kind of place. So I'm in t-shirt and I'm in this is looking like a tomboy. So if I understand the visual language of my own people, I wouldn't dress like this. And over time, you begin to know me as the girl that doesn't dress, that dresses a certain way. If I do, do you know Kirikiri Star? Is the rapper that Ebo used to wear to meeting. If I turn that I can turn it into a modernized. That's what when you ask that question, what does progress look like, right? So now that I've seen that I want to be a Kirikiri Star.
Even the word modernized by itself.
It's still Western. Do you understand? It's still Western.
Stop saying modernized. So when you say modernized now, what are you thinking about modernized?
Let me explain.
You are translating it to a version of the current Western.
No, absolutely not.
Of modern.
Let me explain it to you. Okay. What progress looks like? Sorry, that's my chicken. What progress? Chicken supplement. What progress looks like? So where I come from, they usually have like jigida. They wear jigida. They wear wrapper, right? The modern version of that wrapper would be maybe trousers, which is still westernized, right? But it is leaning more towards African than what I'm currently wearing. She gets the next person that will look at that trouser will say, how can I make it? She gets I've already influenced the next person like that.
You married both cultures. Where I think
to the point where it's digestible for people that still have that strong internal bias around what is Western, what is colonialism, what is It is moving the goalpost. It's not progress, but it's just moving the goalpost.
There's a better way.
More towards African.
Right? There's a better way I think I will interpret that. In that within that context, right? Someone who wears jigida, for instance, would have specific mobility issues. Yes. So I would rather have us cater for that than have modernization as a reference. Yeah. Because the things that influence design decisions are functional like
what does it do?
What does it do? What is it for? Do you get now? So if we're having, let's say, Agbada, for instance, because I said if you're on an African attire right now in this region, nobody is there. Which was, I saw you and I was like, I see you too. Which, that happened because we cannot entirely, because of development has happened, a lot of our parents were farming, a lot of them were not moving so much. Do you get now? So the same
the need for the outfit
and what it was useful for cannot be
was limited.
So
cannot be like
fixing the problem
that the outfit will have.
Yes. So modernization is not the word, because it's not becoming like the reference for which you now redefine what we are doing.
But rather has been westernized.
Yeah. So I'll write
because when you think modern, you would think
westernized.
Yes.
So what? Okay, thank you. So what? Design that reflects culture, which is like a modern, like right now, design that speaks to the function, what we are doing, but also reflects culture, like philosophies and who we are. That's just it.
Good example is if I was tying wrapper on stove, right? And I want to take bike now because the bike was not available that time. They won't be able to enter the bike. That's why I said trouser. So you get, so instead of me tying wrapper, right? And then I'm going to enter bike. Back then there was no bike, so I could walk wherever I wanted to go with my wrapper. So right now he's just turning that wrapper into a trouser so that I can climb the bike.
Making trouser
functional,
and that doesn't then make trouser Western.
Because it's now a function.
It's a function. You get now.
It's taking culture to function on it. That's the progress.
Of which what is being iterated upon has always been us.
I can expand it also further, but let's go.
Because
So modernity is not necessarily westernization. It's also innovation.
Largely westernization.
But largely
Because where do
westernization.
we import our innovation from? When you create something, how do you define it as innovative? It's when you mirror it and when you check outside there and you say, okay, that's when we call it innovation. So you get
So basically, what we'll be doing is, even if we want to make it as African as possible, it has to be our surrounding to dictate how we do it. So, like you said, the rapper cannot climb the bike, so you made it a trouser. Why? Because of the bike. If there was no bike, there would have been. It would not have been as functional. So that's the point, right? So there's also technological advancements
that we need to
consider.
Oh, this is long.
It's
We don't know that it's
to an expense.
Scarf. Hold on. Where is that scarf?
There is. You can influence a people, right, without ripping them of their culture, which is what gentrification is all about.
Yeah.
You can bring innovation to a people without killing their culture.
Yeah.
Of which Wakanda was trying to reflect.
Hold on there. If you have built a system, think about it like this, computers.
Yeah.
You are influencing me to take in computers, or you have created a system why computers can work.
Okay.
So, because you have created the keyboard to work in a particular area, you have limited how much of my culture I can bring into
I agree on that. Like I've said that before, and that we are saying the same thing. But I'm saying that there is a domain, so it's no longer about what we've seen. It's not about empowerment and enlightenment. It's domination.
Oh, it's so far.
Yes, because and there's this typeface that this foundry works on, this African typeface that has a lot of glyphs that works on like all African languages, right? Okay. Is there some kind of initiative that says, okay, let's have because Nigeria is rich in like minerals, let's make computers. Again, we're speaking to a problem. Design itself is not the thing. Yeah. Let's make computers. These computers will be adapted and like they'll be made in a way that they will account for the Nigerian languages. Mm-hmm. That's not done.
Yeah.
So a way of empowerment.
Somebody designed a keyboard that was very like will make it easy to type like African stuff. Yeah. They designed it like 1960s.
A way to empower. You get now. A way to now enlighten would not be. Yeah, we've created a system where we're using keyboards to type. Come and use it. Are you seeing it now?
Yeah.
But because when you're saying I'm created for you, I'm trying to say that what you have already is trash. It's not important. It doesn't work, which is all of us are suffering from.
They don't include you, and then they now inject it into your system, your existing system. You go to a point where they make computer something that has to be in every school. So even from small, you have been indoctrinated into westernization.
New culture they are trying to introduce technology to and get them to understand this is the first principle.
Yes, sir.
So if you can get people that they are already vast in the culture already to understand the technologies from first principle, they can create,
which is what inclusion, accessibility, sustainability is speaking to. But again,
so on that round table, somebody that knows the culture, a historian, whatever, is supposed to be there, and from both genders, because you know that what affects a woman is not what affects a man.
A subtle way to round this up is design for the African man. If you don't, no matter how you want to, because when you design for them, you have context for them.
Yes.
You understand the processes that guide and do not guide the development.
African design.
It's a lot of UDC 2025.
Shaping African. Except for people that are designing for like specific audiences. We want to design in a way that it will cater for like a lot of people. And like in doing that, most of what you want to adapt will be things that are already like from those places. I feel like we need to start like creating specialized technologies that cater specifically to us. Like it will not work for people that are outside.
So let me open a can of worms. You know that many of us you are saying
a different problem.
we have been
I understand what is the problem. The implementation is the problem. Why is implementation the problem? Because
how do you understand that you are defining for the true African man?
Now that's why. Thank
Exactly.
you. This question
How do you know that it's defined for the true African
this
man?
question
Because
you just
the
asked.
current African man has been influenced by several
Now, this is why.
and if I'm not designing for me right now,
Yeah.
you are designing for me that has been influenced by growing up with many years of.
So can I come in now?
Go ahead. So
somebody will use Ankara to sew suits.
Yes, you get it.
Look now.
we are getting there.
What that reflects is the domain for which design is influenced of changes, meaning that culture evolves. So should design systems.
Yes.
Why?
As the
Because
culture evolved or has
design-
it been influenced?
influence, not
Wait,
influence.
no,
That's why
What cultural evolution
coming.
is and what being influenced by Western culture is are not the same thing.
Now,
Cultural evolution will be the culture by itself.
But that's the thing. Culture will not evolve
without influence. Does culture evolve without influence? Because even if culture wait.
Source of influence.
Look at this.
No. Or is our problem the fact that we're influenced at all?
Can I come in?
Because now you're saying evolution can happen. You're saying evolution can happen.
without influences. There won't be evolution now.
The influence of cultural evolution.
Let him come in.
No, I would say that the problem is that instead of designing for the influenced African man, we are for the native influenced African man. We are now designing for people. We are designing like we want the influence to be complete. Like we want the guy to be completely influenced by like what is coming from the outside. So what we need to do is meet him where he is. Yes, he has been influenced, but we need to design for him as he is. Which is where
Now, what you just said right now. Can I come in?
He's still constantly being influenced by the culture.
that's fine. It is fine. But another way, you see, the thing is that the way to limit the influence is by creating these things. Is when you create these things, the way this guy will be influenced will now reduce.
You're slowing it down. You're not taking off. You're not taking off.
He
gets to a point where if you are able to like help him reduce the influences that he's getting, he might get to a point that he can start influencing them back. And that's the goal, because things will flow into each other at the end.
For example, you have too much.
What you just said right now.
There's a high tendency. Do you know there's a high tendency for this influence to be exported?
Yes.
Exactly. Do you understand? Go to any American university and ask them that if you were to come back in another life, what will you come back as? They will always say they don't want to come as a black man. Do you understand? So there's a tendency for us to do. There's just systems in place that does not allow us to export this thing effectively. But it starts from us. Start from this conversation we have. So
What you just said right now, Michael. What he just said right now. What she just said already paints, which is a very interesting but scary future, right? That it's dependent. That's why I said it's dependent on exploration and experimenting, because we are like archaeologists mapping out where we have traveled so far in culture, recognizing where we are at. Which is what the talk was all about. That we need to observe where we are at right now, what you were saying right now, and see how we can create systems from where we are at. Of course, like, and which is, I also kicked against that if you're trying to say you're African design, but African design really is not really just pattern, because we can't really throw away the influence of where we are right now. It's culture. It's what if there was no
Sunday culture.
Do you understand? It's Sunday culture. What I'm saying is recognize where we are at right now, then create a system around it, and it evolves. Whatever influences that comes, it is that we account for, and which is why design, like I said again, design. So it's why I would rather say design is African than African design, because design will always cater for the context that it's speaking for.
Yes.
Do you see right now? So let it sink. So you get now. So design. So whatever the systems for visual communication is right now, we have print. Print looks interesting. We don't know what 15 years will look like.
Yeah.
We don't know what Elon Musk will do. There are in-traps that we're doing in-traps for. We no longer become in-traps. Then the entire world of type design will change. But at that moment, we cannot now say we're trying to keep true to history, because it's not speaking to where we are now.
Even design itself was influential. Design before now is actually you creating what's it called? Type. Sheyi explained it yesterday. Leading and all of that to create type. But it was influenced when computer came in.
Now, as it
became
came in,
graphic design.
it evolved.
If you want to do
So you have to always evolve.
look at all those,
You have to always evolve.
Those people that do binary stuff. From Yoruba, no. What they call them? Ifa.
Yeah.
Do you understand? You know that all the principles of design is still reflective in that binary thing that they were doing. So the principle of design was never modern. We already knew it. We just apply it to culture.
Leading Kenning was there.
There was still Kenning in that Ifa thing. When he throws his cowrie, he still arranged it in a way that reflects.
Touch points, and that's why it's really interesting. Cultural, it's very interesting. Yeah,
and obviously very complex too.
Yes.
So everybody I say is actually getting.
Yeah, I hope so too. Like
But the main thing is we need to document. Because if we document before 1914, they will not tell us that Lord God discovered this.
Yes.
But we are not documenting.
There's a whole lot.
But we are not documenting. The fact that we are not documenting, it is what they said that happens. How does history happen? Right? You said this. Now, what we are having here now, if everybody here should go back home and say we had this kind of conversation, then it happens. But if nobody talked about it, it did not happen.
One of the things
That is documentation and sharing. Talking about it. So if you're saying African design is more than pattern, then show us that African design is more than pattern. If you're just designing and you're just there and you're not showing us that it's more than pattern, then it will forever be pattern.
Yeah, that's why I
because
all designers minus what you do in your corporate setting, because what Oga wants is what Oga wants. But you have your own personal space where you do self-expression. It's going to help very well with your creativity. That's one of the things that has really helped me to get to where I am currently. Ability to explore, ability to experiment. So take this conversation, tweet about it, Facebook about it, Instagram about it, create stuff around it and post it, share it.
But soon we say something. The guy that is like in charge of all this thing, he used to say something. He will say that there's a reason why you have director's cut.
Yes.
He said when director have shot the whole thing, they say remove this one. Director will remove it. They release the movie. Then director will go back and go and get what he wants. He will not. When Snyder, what days they call it? When he released the director's cut for this movie that is No. There's one that I just did like 3 parts or 2 parts. Rebel Moon, yes. He said watch Rebel Moon the way he originally imagined it. So things like that, like if you do a project, sometimes they reject some ideas and whatnot. Maybe because it's too bold.
If you go to my profile, I have like 3 or 4
money.
Yes.
People that are sponsoring that project. And guess what cultures people that are sponsoring those projects come from?
Push it out.
Are they black like you? No.
That is documentation. Push it out.
You want to document, but when you are documenting in that process, they still drag you back. Like what? Cut it off. You will be pissed.
That's what I get. So do director's cut.
Okay, aftermath.
Understand?
You please them.
Yes.
After you please them.
You see that original interpretation of what you did? Keep it. That's what I do where I'm working. The one that I created, that I use my chest and do, that the original one that I know that this fits the purpose of what we are doing, I keep it. And then I post that one. I just post their own. They know me. And then they don't know what I want to post, what I want to post. Yeah. Go ahead, take it. So when they come on social media, say you're not posting about us. I say I can't post about you. There's nothing you can do about it. It's my page. Take it.
Right. Then I push it out. It's just the same way. It's just the same way. We say, oh, I imagine this particular brand to be like this, and you rebranded them. Right. But this one, you worked on it, you were given the brief, you did everything, but this was not selected. Then push it out. That way, someone is seeing it. But sometimes some people would say that, oh, I have to keep it
You know
because I can sell it. Just the mark that, bro, ship these things.
A lot of the projects that I've done that has been personal, that has been like, oh, this is what I want, has been what has brought other clients to say, oh, I want it like this.
Yes.
So that's where the power that we have as designers come from.
And that is the personal branding.
Yeah, but that one that the original one that Oga wants, nobody comes after
it.
That is the personal branding.
That one is complete to Ghana.
So the way that you are posting is what that is showing who you are. And someone that wants to work with you as who you are, we come because of that.
Exactly. So if there's anything that any of us as designers is taking out of here, is that self-expression is very important.
Very, very important.
But so where does self-expression come from? If you want to be an African designer, you need to go back into the research to understand what African design, that's what he's talking about since, what it actually is. So that you're not just reflecting the bias that is inside your brain from what you have been taught from primary school to secondary school to university. You get? Because they are there, they are everywhere. You need to understand who you actually are and let it be reflected in your design. Self-expression, very, very important. Even if you have to create a separate page, I'll be running mad here.
All of the patterns are coming from.
These are not normal. I'm not normal. I'm not like
There's all of that.
What's the origin of those patterns?
There's all of that.
When we say African design, we see patterns. What is the origin of each of those patterns that we are
we
seeing?
don't know. We don't know when you put
Why
I know all of us know about instability typeface, but who has originally sit down,
understood it,
look for where it was
what
coming
it
from?
means.
Before design, Africans they communicate with pictures. They are pictorial. That's the essence of that's it. Because one of those things that I still want to understand is, okay, yes, these people came, they say they discovered Nigeria and they communicate with them. How did they communicate with these people that does not understand English? How?
Yes.
True pictures.
How?
It was true pictures. They drew pictures in the sand.
That's how you know that
They drew pictures in the sand.
power of visual is just so crazy, and it's a universal language. So you need to understand visual at every point. Visual language, and part of it is design. So we are saying that, oh, everything has evolved. Let's meet it at a point. Yes, but before you can meet it at a point, you need to go back.
Go back in time, make
You need to go back. People have been saying that the whole Superman, Iron Man, blah blah blah, was connected to the Shango, blah blah blah, all of that. No. I'm saying that we are saying that, right? They've developed that. Oh yeah, now let us now stand up and start creating that one. Yes, this is how it is. This is what it was all about. Let's create it. But you people keep saying that this happened, that happened, but nobody.
Your story. Somebody else will tell your story for you.
Exactly.
That's what man is a female. So African mother.
That's
Yes.
No, that was why I said that. That was why I said that. If you're documenting before 1914, they will not tell us that Lord got discovered.
And let us stop killing of things. How?
There's a lot of things that are getting lost at the moment. Because
Bro, how?
We have this. I don't know whether it's oral tradition or stuff, because that's how stuff is passed down to people.
Yes.
For example, my grandmother used to do soaps for healing soaps and all those kind of things. And it was after she died that I realized that all the knowledge she had, nobody, all of that is gone. And she was doing stuff that was working. Now you have to replace it with a Western alternative, because they research, they write down whatever they do. 200 years after, you will find. I think there's when I saw The Last Kingdom, so there was this castle that they were talking about, and apparently the castle had been there for over 1,000 years. Someone told me that there's a family that you can literally trace their lineage for over 1,000 years. They document that.
Yes. Now everybody did not want tribal mark again, because you feel like, it's reducing my beauty and all of that.
Need to learn the history of tribal marks, right? For some people, it was not just tribal marks; it was face scarification, and it was supposed to make you damaged goods for your colonizers. Because when they come, they don't take people that have marks on their faces. They believe that you're damaged goods, so they keep you here to work, and then they take other people. So that's why a lot of people are now doing that to their children's faces, so that they don't take you. So that's why you need to learn.
This is the first time
You know, before you
what I know about tribal markets for everybody to be identification of tribe.
Yes.
So that you
That
meet.
was true. That was true because like different tribe has like different.
Exactly.
When you say Hausa tribal mark, you know. Yeah, now your mark, you know.
That's another reason for tribal mark. So that if you are taken, then you are able to trace yourself back.
The connection will
Do
be
you get?
there.
That's another reason why you have this type of hair. This our braid. A lot of the braids, like the styles that we have, did not necessarily come from Africa like that. It came from colonialism. So when they were taken away, when the women were taken away, right, they give birth to female children. They place their hair in a certain way that gives a pattern that leads to which
There
is
is a contrary story to this. Shogo used to be the originator of this. His wife's.
yeah.
He has long hair. So his wife one day he just let me play with her hair, and he weave it. She weaved it. So after weaving it, this thing look nice. I like this. So and it became a pattern. And it became a pattern. Yeah.
Fantastic, amigo.
And it became a pattern.
So we can say the same thing. It's just like looking at a dice. If you throw dice on the floor, you will see 6, I'll see 3. But you see the same dice. You see the same truth, right?
Yes.
Where my own history comes from is different from where your own history comes from. But we are still saying that. That's why research is important. We need to understand the origin first before we go.
What was joined together was like, I mentioned in that you see that there was a lot of borrowed words.
Yes.
Right? Because you cannot just comprehend how you want to move or translate that same word from what it is, but you understand it. Then we just have to bring it that way. It happens in English translation. There are some words that you can forget, you cannot translate. Just leave it like that. And it's the same reason why Yoruba has like some English word. They just extend the meaning. Like they'll say television, there is an intonation or the way they call it. You understand? But when Yoruba we talk about it, they will say bread, but they will say bro, Yoruba they are descriptive. Nigerians are descriptive, bro.
Yes.
Like we are descriptive, and when we understand that, we know that. I'm feeling No, when we understand this, we know that design, right? We can own it.
Absolutely.
We can own it because we understand the origin of all of these things. Because, like she said, the principles of design are not changing. That's why graphic design, interior design, architecture, they're the same thing. Now, if you now try to understand those basic things, now relate it to our issue. You see it in there. You see it there. When it comes to the alignment, Sheyi was explaining typeface yesterday, right? And he was saying something about types being like you're actually designing. The basis of like square, triangle, and all of that is what you would use to build a typeface. Now, in a way, typefaces are still pictorial. Now, let's come back to how the ACBD they are pictorial. Look at most of them. They are descriptive.
Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Yes.
They are descriptive.
All of them are pictorial.
So if you look at all of these ancient languages, they are descriptive. So the origin of like type and all of these things, right? It is still picture. So people have been designing way before we started designing. But we now start calling it design now. Yes, it is design. But in this space that we are here that we are Nigerians now, or we are Africans, what does design mean to us? How does culture, heritage and everything influenced it? Now, the Western culture that we've accepted, how does that contribute to it? Now, that is what that come together to form what African design would be in modern day. Now, what African design would look like, it would be the addition of all of those things. The culture, all of those things that was coming from way back. Now, what has joined it, right? What has happened before? All of those events is what would become. That was why in Afrobeat we have. That was why in Afrobeat, right? There's still this argument of Afrobeat with the S and Afrobeat as a whole, because they understand that they had to create the community, so they will categorize everything under Afrobeat. What's it called? This South African this thing. Amapiano is under Afrobeat, but Amapiano is Amapiano. Afrobeat, there is still Afrobeat on its own. That is peculiar to Nigeria. General Africa is just saying Africa, yes, more name. But when it comes to Afrobeat, now one thing about Afrobeat itself, right? If you now want to understand it, when it comes to sound, there is something peculiar in it. If you do not hear percussion, you've not created Afrobeat. The same thing with Amapiano, the kick drum had to be there.
The kick, just the kick. Remember the kick.
So now we need to find that element that has to be in every design to make it African design.
Somebody remove his hat and
makes sense.
Yes, we need to look for that element that has to be present. That means everybody is designing. There is a way that this thing, because we understand it and the value of it, it would appear.
Immediately you see it, you just know. Yeah.
There are these guys, these sound engineers, Fuse and all of them. They've been invited over there to come and create because they had to create. There was one interview that I watched with Fuse, and this guy, I think from Ghana, they were saying that what is always different with the way Nigerian produces that there's this always choral effect that comes in. And Fuse was saying that maybe it was because every one of them that are producer, they started in church.
Yes.
And you had that choral effect in church. It has to always come. When the choirs are singing, the audience will sing with it. Now that effect remains, and that's what makes Afrobeat. So that element is what we need to look for. And if we do not understand the history and all of these things, we cannot get the elements. And yes, go and check most of these songs. There's always call and repeat. If it did not happen, right, they will leave the space for it. You would see it. It happens in concert. Yes, it happens in concert. The backups and everything, they are peculiar. The backups that come, they are peculiar.
When they are composing the
And
song,
when you see when everybody is now coming up with when everybody is coming up with their own sound, right, with a mixture of everything that they do, is always different. Right, there is Afro R&B, there is Afro this, there is Afro that. The fact that they know that, okay, I am singing R&B on a Afrobeat sound is what makes it Afro R&B. Sometimes what makes Afrobeat, it is the texture of the voice. There is a way you sing Fuji. It's a different way you sing Apala.
yes.
And when you bring all of that into it, it is what makes Afrobeat. You can sing Apala on hip hop. That's what Terry Apala is doing. It is Afrobeat.
Yeah.
So there are some elements that need to constantly be there. You cannot say there is a product without some things. There has to be bought in. You understand? When it comes to brand identity, there are some things that you have to have. The color, the type. Those are the elements that are important. So as African designers, we need to find that important element. Yes, we need to define it. When we now define it, when I see something, I know that, oh, this is African design.
So now let's get into a solution-based conversation, right? Okay. Because personally, I would like us to get out of this place and know that, okay, this is how we want to start. So what is that universal thing that we think we can look at and say, oh, this is African design?
That's where community coming.
Do you know that apart from that, yeah, there's individualism to it? Because what I would design as an Igbo girl, coming from the place of my culture, is different from what you
that's why I said that's where community comes in. I think sorry. That's why I said that.
But what's the unifying factor?
That's why I said that's where community comes in. Right now, where community comes in is the fact that when you design, right, as an Igbo person and you push it out, right, we accept it. We say yes, this is coming. Nobody is saying it is Igbo design though, it is African design. Now when another person design as a Yoruba person, oh, this is African design, with time we would see the correlation. We don't need to force it. It will come out.
Just express.
That is why I'm saying documentation is important. If we do not document it, we would not see it.
So I think one thing I think like the word element, like, cause like when you were talking, you said like, oh, like what's the element that is going to be in the design that we used to know that is an African design. I think that may be limiting because when you design most of the time, you pick the things that you pick because they solve the problem that you are solving. And I think is those kind of train of thought that led to like using patterns all over and over again.
Let me now say this. There is this what's it called? There is this. Yeah, we can say it's pattern. There is this I've forgotten the name. This Japanese style of designs. You know there are different styles of designs. You would see something there. It is either their Poda text, right, and all of that.
That color red.
That is what makes it their own. That thing had to be there. In a way, you find its way there. That's why I'm saying we don't have to force it. We document as much as we can. The moment we keep documenting, then we keep seeing it. That's what happens with Afrobeat. A lot of documentation was done. If they did not document, they will not see anything. Document. Fella document.
They start documenting.
No, there are some things that I missed out. Right. I watched this guy Adlatif Adedimeji was talking about the fact that he could not find anything on this guy Ayinla. But they had to go down and listen to people. Yes, they had to go down and listen to people. So he now use his own imagination to comprehend with everything that he has listened to. That sometimes it's not like talking to the person. He just hears someone talking about it, then he listens. So because he's an artist, he now understand how he can form all of those things into a character, and he lived the character. Now, because everybody was amazed that people that lived the time, they could see that this was closely to what this person was all about. Now, that's what I'm saying. Documentation doesn't necessarily have to be we even sitting down. It is the fact that we have to open mouth and talk. Don't create in your room alone. You are creating. Junior designers or your co-designer, bring them, sit down. This is what I'm creating. This is what I've done. This is how I've done. Share it. Those are the people that. Yes, those are the people that will talk about it later.
Somebody need to be in the know.
Now, ask yourself now, right? Everyone, as we are here now today, now that if you die today, who can say that? Oh, this is what this person is working on. I can push it out, or someone can continue this. You have ideas that you want to push. You have ideas that you want to push, but who have you shared it with? But we are always saying, oh, if I share my idea, they'll steal it, bro. Even if you do not share it, they will fucking steal it.
The idea will still come out.
They will fucking steal it.
It's to come out. If it has come out, if it has not come out.
That's why it looks like I'm always talking whenever any ideas come. I had to push it out. Because when I push it out, even if I did not achieve it, someone else will execute it. And the funny thing is, as I'm saying it to you now, right? I don't know who you're going to meet next. The person you're going to meet next that you say it to might be the engineer that will now make it work. Now I cannot connect it back to you that I share it to you, you stole it.
But it has gone.
But it has gone. It happens. That's the essence. What you should always be thinking is, let this happen. If it did not happen, then there is no way.
Don't avoid it.
Basically,
don't harm your ideas. Share it.
I'm always thinking of these guys, Virgil Abloh. Ola Olusman now is doing something and everybody's feeling like, oh, this guy is rebellious or something. They're trying to box him and all of that. Bro, this guy is just living his life. Do whatever he wants to do as an artist, and he's being expressive. And that's why I'm always saying that as a designer, we cannot take art out of design. You have to be fucking expressive as a designer.
Yes.
But yes, you need to understand that you have to solve problems.
Yes.
That is why she was saying that you have to do your personal design and express it. That is when you become an artist. You don't have any brief from anyone. You're doing it the way it's coming from your head.
Exactly.
I was telling someone that one of my best projects that people have seen, that people like, the Kuli Kuli design. I designed it under 2 hours with no brief, but with the way I was thinking of it, and I just executed it. I say I'm pushing this out, and I went back.
And you go back
And people accept it.
My recent project on Greenhouse, origami.
Yes, I saw it.
That project has gotten more comments than any other project I have, more views, more anything. Origami was not planned. I woke up one morning. I've seen Money Heist, the professor, the way he folds his paper. And I remember that time I was like, let me just brand this origami. And I was doing it. I have a camera. I recorded myself folding the papers. It has had more comments, more engagement, more sincere voices saying, I love this, and that's it. No brand, no brief, nothing. I woke up one morning and I shot. And that's it.
And that's how you know. That's how you even find yourself. That you know what your personal brand is.
If all you push out is what has been approved, you will just be the designer of what has been approved. But if you push out the things that are original to your head, that's the kind of designers that you will be. And another thing is that if only what they are pushing out, is clients that want only what they approve. That will come.
Yes,
And you'll be frustrated.
That's like at the end of the day, the brand you are building is not going to be the brand of who they want you to be.
Yeah, not who you are.
Not who you are. But who you are has to express, experiment, work on things, fail, continue. Just continue to live your life as an artist, as a designer. Live, express, experiment, travel. All of this that we are doing in Lagos is not it. Go down to other places and experience. We will be talking about Kampala. You are in Lagos and you don't know how they actually do it. Are you talking about Kampala? And they will tell you that okay, come and brand a Kampala brand now. And you think because what you've seen online, you can brand a Kampala? No, that is not research. Go down. Travel. Go down. That's why you see that people that explore when they are working on projects, you just open mouth and be like,
They have a project.
where do you see this idea? Bro, as designers, we are constantly inspired. You are standing, you are walking, you are seeing colors and everything. Design is everywhere, so you are inspired. Your inspiration did not even stop on Pinterest. You are inspired every day.
Absolutely.
So when you're now designing, you do not know the effect of all of these things. You just come to play. You just do it, and you be like, oh, I love this match of color, but you've seen it somewhere. Something has inspired you. It might not even be the exact color. It might be someone passing in front of a billboard. The color matched, then you register to your brain in a way. That's the way our brain works, and that's why the brain is so peculiar in the part of the body, because it just registers things. What you see, what you sense, what you feel, what you hear, and what you smell. Bro, that's like exactly.
Then your hand will work.
And now that's where your mind now comes in. Your mind is different from our own mind, because it's the contribution of what you've seen, what you've heard, what you feel, what you've experienced, your total, your 360 experience. And that's why I always say that if they give you guys the same brief, you come up with different thing, but you execute the same thing. That is design. You have to be on the same thing, but your expression is going to be different. We cannot finish it. We cannot finish it.
Design is interesting.